Are we looking at any Spurs or United players?
I'm looking at targeting them.
I'm looking at targeting them.
I guess, who are you selling this week to get to Saka? He's quite an expensive player still.
Yeah, it's not like he can sell Palmer, is it? It's not like he can sell De Bruyne. Although De Bruyne with Haaland, probably isn't as talismanic as we normally want him to be. So captaincy, I think arguably this is one of the hardest weeks for captaincy that we've seen in a very long time. Hello and welcome to Stick to FPL. And I'm back this week because last week, unfortunately, I had my chair taken and my space taken and my honor diminished by some very, very, very disrespectful talk. But luckily, the regular show is back. And today I am joined by our smart and brave co-host, the usual... Oh, wait, no, it's not the usual. It's Fran! Welcome to the show.
Oh, it's the usual now. It's 2 weeks in a row.
To be fair, you're part of the furniture now, to be honest, aren't you?
Yeah.
All right. So, obviously, I haven't really had the opportunity to have a chat with you. I know Dan probably did last week, but tell us a little bit about yourself. How's your season going? How's things going?
Not this again. I mean, my season's okay. I think I've had 2 relatively good seasons coming into this one, so maybe I was due. But
go on, tell them. Where did you finish last season?
Top 500.
Top where?
Yeah.
Top where?
Top 500 in the world.
500,000?
No, sorry?
500,000?
Yeah, you wish. That's your rank, right? Nah. So this year's been pretty rough. But I think, decision-making wise feels pretty much the same. Just hasn't really fallen my way. So, yeah.
And like, what style of manager do you say you are?
Yeah, I mean, my initial style probably was just pure the eye test. Then I really got into data, speaking to who got the assists quite a fair bit. Got into like looking at models, trying to understand how models work, and ultimately I kind of gravitated towards that sort of decision making because I've always been very eye test friendly, but I think it's the idea that I could still understand how what I could see was being transformed into data, and that being rational to me kind of made me think, yeah, models make a lot of sense. And honestly, if you look at a lot of the ranks of people driven by data, it's hard to sort of look past them. So I'm very competitive, and yeah.
Well, I also spend a lot of my time looking at models. It's
not the same ones, yeah.
Very, very, very exciting way to look at things. But if you want to look at models and look at data, you got to check out Fantasy Football Hub, the regular sponsors of the show. Obviously, only 2 game weeks left. If you are trying to save your season now, respectfully, it's probably too late. But we still have to do this because we get paid to. So let's get cracking. And the first thing that I'm going to talk about is it's a very, very short time period left between now and the end of the season. There is 2 game weeks left. Your rank now is likely to be the rank that you have when the season finishes, unless you somehow call some crazy, crazy games. And this is the unfortunate part, the fact that the fixture ticker is topped by Ipswich and Leicester because they play each other.
Yeah.
So outside of that, are you in agreement that Villa, Wolves and West Ham are the places to target, or is there anything else that is standing out to you?
I agree, but I think because we're 2 weeks out, a lot of our transfers might be you have a player that doesn't have a good fixture this week, you just jump onto one player, then on Gameweek 38, you target another fixture. So when I look at that, I think like singular games, Chelsea don't have a bad game on Gameweek 37. On Gameweek 38, Bournemouth, once again, have a good fixture there. So if you're planning out your transfers up until the end of the season, you might still be looking at a team that just ultimately has one good game, and that could work for you.
So fixtures-wise, is it still a case of target Leicester, Ipswich, Southampton?
Yeah, how do you do that? By getting the same players in Ipswich and Leicester. So I think you kind of have to go for maybe a Villa player, like the way I see it, unless you really do want to own an Ipswich or Leicester player because they play each other.
Well, okay, we laugh, but Vardy, is he a consideration?
100%.
Playing Ipswich, a out of form Bournemouth, I think it's not crazy. And for me, arguably the entire season is an opportunity to punt, but this is one of the better opportunities to punt because there's so little risk of variance having a sort of long-term impact on you. And it's just, can you capitalize on the variance at this point? So I do think obviously Ipswich and Leicester's maybe not Ipswich, but Leicester, arguably, you could try to find some joy there. But more likely, you're going to be looking at Villas, Watkins, Rogers, Wolves, Cunha's, so forth. West Ham, Bowen's just been absolutely smashing it so far. Everton playing Southampton.
That's the thing too. Like, I own an Everton defender. I'm not sure if he even plays football right now, but it's still for that one game, right? So when you own players from some of these teams, sometimes they're just a rotation piece. So if you're bringing in a defender this week, maybe they just need to serve you this week, and then you actually have a good defense in Gameweek 38. Like, I'm thinking a lot of people who own Arsenal defense, for example, you're going to keep someone like Saliba for Gameweek 38, but maybe you want to transfer this week, and suddenly Everton makes a bit of sense, like a Mikolenko move.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. And Mikolenko scored on the weekend, didn't he?
Yeah. He won't do it again, though, right?
Is that his first goal of the season?
I think so.
I've been
even
so
his assist
unlucky
was
with
rogue.
Mikolenko.
I don't think he is a very creative player generally. I mean, if you watch him, the crosses aren't great, but he's done it.
No, I've been very unfortunate. Every time I play him, he blanks. Every time I bench him, he's just been whatever. We're not going to get into that. But the likes of Liverpool and Arsenal, kind of middle ground. I think Arsenal is an interesting one, particularly because of that Gameweek 38 fixture. But I think we'll talk about that more next week, especially with Dan back. Crystal Palace, again, another interesting one. Wolves and then Liverpool. Eze is in crazy form. Is he in your team?
Yeah, of course he is.
So I don't know. I think in terms of transfers right now, you just got to kind of take a look and go with what you feel. Data-wise, is there anything that I am unaware of that we should be considering here?
I think with just the FA Cup and the Europa League and those matches, playing a key factor in terms of games being after the Gameweek 37 deadline, there's just an element of if we look at how some models or markets have reacted recently to like goal lines or probabilities and things like that. It's kind of looking at teams that you think would be quite leggy per se, as Andy Martin would call it, and then targeting them, because it seems like a lot of the markets are leaning that way. You see how much Tottenham rotated, how much United rotated recently, and those are good shouts potentially to kind of look at a team that might be even worse than we usually think that they are. And that could even apply to a team like City as well, where they're probably going to put their best foot forward. They actually kind of went full steam ahead for Southampton and got nothing from it. So
that game was so.
Were you invested into that game?
Very deeply invested in that game.
Yeah,
deeply invested in that game. Luckily, I had some of my differentials across the team.
Yeah. By the way, I just want to say I did say Kevin De Bruyne was going to start last week, and he did. So.
Oh, I said the same. Yeah. I was going to captain him until the Haaland news broke.
Oh.
Yeah. But either way,
what made you? Did you go Haaland in the end?
Yeah.
And then you captained Haaland.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. I lost out on 1 point, 4 points to the
Embuemo
captain.
Yeah, I think that's nothing.
Yeah.
Like over the that's like the least of swingy captaincies. There's plenty of Salah captaincies in the middle of the season that I don't even want to talk about.
Listen, I've been absolutely done. Like Palmer has killed me up against Salah this season. Many times I've gone for it, especially like since
you did the Leicester captaincy as well, right?
Yeah.
Let's not talk about that one.
Right. Mate. Well, speaking of some of these leggy teams, let's take a look at how the fixtures are likely to look over the next 2 weeks. The big thing being the the final of the FA Cup with Crystal Palace and Man City. So just looking here, first of all, we've got this is a little bit trippy to read, to be honest, but essentially gaps that are in dark red show a team who have a very short break between their two fixtures. Gaps in red and then yellow and then green and then dark green increase in how much time that they've got for their fixtures. So the teams with red are obviously the FA Cup teams, with Man City playing Crystal Palace very, very soon before their midweek game. So are we expecting rotation from Man City and Crystal Palace? A lot of people did go into the De Bruyne, to the Haaland transfers. Are we expecting them to start first of all?
Yeah, I think so. Because Pep is the type of manager who would play these players into the ground, and these players are fit, and he really doesn't have that much depth. Like maybe it's a little bit more. Do I have wingers that I can play some matches and play them a bit more? But I think no one's really been giving him anything. Like Foden, nothing. Savinho, he's somewhere lost in translation. I don't know. So De Bruyne and Haaland probably are guarantees for him. Even Marmoush, you saw extremely limited minutes for Southampton. Still pretty lively, I guess, at the end. But I can see them continuing to play. We saw KB play in a double quite recently too. Really good minutes as well. So yeah, I think they'll kind of be just forced to play it out, and I wouldn't be too worried. But I think performance will be affected.
Yeah. I mean, I completely agree with you. I think with Haaland playing 90, I don't think many people expected Haaland to play 90.
I didn't.
I definitely didn't. I was hoping for 70 minutes.
But it's a bit of game state too, right?
Yeah.
Like how often do you reach 70 minutes for Southampton with a draw in game state?
Yeah. I guess if that's 3-0, 45, 60 minutes,
he's off.
He's probably off it. But yeah, I think I agree with you, especially with the jeopardy on those Champions League places. They are playing for a lot. And the FA Cup being brilliant, it does not guarantee them a UCL place. It guarantees them a Europa League place. So it's, to some extent, the big game for them is the Premier League game. It's not the FA Cup. So I would probably agree that I would expect, what you think, the FA Cup is a bigger game.
It's still a trophy. Right?
No, I'm not having that. You'd risk losing a Champions League spot for a FA Cup trophy.
Are you though? I think he just plays the players twice.
Well, that's the thing. But as in, I still think that he's.
Do you think he'll rotate for the FA Cup? Is that what you're saying?
No. I think to him the priority is the Premier League game and the Champions League. Like losing out on the Champions League would be absolutely hot. Like that would be much worse if they got Champions League, lost the FA Cup, versus if they won the FA Cup and missed out on Champions League.
But you play every game as it is, right? Yeah. So that's all I'm saying. They'll be leggy, but they'll play.
Who's more likely to rotate, however, is Crystal Palace, who that FA Cup game is their biggest game of the season and arguably the biggest game of the decade. So,
but how much will they rotate though? I think Mateta's like someone who might be rotated, but honestly, the rest of their squad are quite young. There's not that much depth there. Sarr plays almost every game of football as long as he can. I feel like it's the last home game of the season too. I don't know if you believe in like narratives like that, but I think these are young players, Eze and Sarr. I think they start versus Wolves.
I think Eze starts. I think Sarr is probably more questionable.
You think it's due for rest?
Yeah. I think Sarr is probably a little bit more questionable. And they know
if Mateta's do you think Mateta's rested? Maybe not.
You know what? In all honesty, Mateta could start or be rested. You should probably sell him.
The minutes aren't great because I think Glasner kind of said it maybe 4 or 5 weeks ago. You just said he's a bit of an old man, right? Like you can't manage his minutes across 2-3 days of rest. So he just has to start or come off the bench 30 or 60, something like that. But that means that Nketiah will probably replace his minutes. And then that's where I think Sarr will play a lot of minutes too, because they just don't have too much depth, and Kamada's already playing deeper at times.
I guess that's a valid point as well. There's not too many players available to replace the options that people are looking at, especially with the system that they play. For example, like a Munoz, there's basically like no replacement. But I would be concerned with the attackers. I don't think it's unfair to say there is a reasonable possibility that even Eze could possibly be benched for this and come on at like 60 minutes. But the fixture is much better in Gameweek 37 for these Crystal Palace players. So if they do miss out in 37, suddenly you're walking into like a bench and then a Liverpool game. So is there argument to sell them, I guess. Overall, however, everyone else is largely okay. There's a bit of a break for Spurs and United, obviously, between the final game of the season where they actually play each other. Is that no? That's the Europa League. So why is Dad put that post Europa League bit in red? Oh, it's because it's towards the Gameweek 38 fixture. Okay. So either way, are we looking at any Spurs or United players?
I'm looking at targeting them.
I'm looking at targeting them. Why don't we talk about that? Because Manchester United and Spurs have been the two worst teams in the league outside of the relegation fodder teams. And this is bizarre. And I want to talk about this just from like a football perspective for a minute, right? These are two big six teams. United are the third biggest club in the world. Sat at 16th.
Yeah, I mean,
what do you make of this?
I mean, when you look at how much money they've spent, it is a bit of a comedy, isn't it? So, but this is the season as it is, and somehow both of these teams actually can still end up somewhat in a better position than a lot of the other teams vying for that top 5 spot.
they've lost to some teams that they just shouldn't be. Like West Ham, losing to West Ham, I get like 2-0. I understand they rotated.
It's weird because I think United have actually looked okay recently, but maybe it's because there's definitely a bit of rotation spliced in. They're a team that pile on a lot of pressure coming from behind, so it's like a lot of from Maguire forwards, and then actually, subbing on Eriksen late, creating chances, overloading, things like that. But I guess where I think I've been impressed by the Europa League performance. Like them destroying Athletic was very impressive. I mean, we're La Liga fans. They're a very defensive team, so scoring 6-7 goals over 2 legs is pretty impressive versus them.
Yeah.
I don't think that
done us some trouble.
they look that bad. And then Tottenham's definitely just been rotating nonstop. I don't think Ange is even.
Is that rotation or just trying to find?
Or do you think everyone's just bad?
I think that's what it is. I think he plays a player, the player sucks, so he replaces the player, and the replacement sucks, so he replaces that. Like I think Brennan Johnson has been arguably their best player this season.
No, I'm not having it.
Who's been their best player this season?
I heard that you had the differential the week last week or the week previous, but
it was last. No,
we won't talk
about
it. Yeah.
But listen, my differential this week smashed it, so let's not talk about that. But no, Brennan Johnson has been he's been their best player this season. He got rotated for the game that I picked him for because of the Europa League.
Yeah.
But like no one else has been good in that team.
Jed Spence.
Not good enough to start in the semi-finals, but he's been their best player.
I mean, he's dipped as of late, but I think for a long sprint he was very, very good, especially with Udogie being injured, playing left back at times, and benched Porro actually for a lot of league games when they weren't actually rotating nonstop.
Well, their form says Jed Spence didn't do much about that. I think targeting these teams is very much on the menu, and that's why Villa are third in this list. They play both of them.
Yeah.
We're expecting goals.
I think so. I guess the weird thing with Villa is what direction are you going for them, right? Is it a forward, and Watkins is actually very expensive, so it actually feels like you're going to have to make a decision with regards to selling Isak. And then in the midfield position, I'm not sure if this is the week to necessarily sell, because a lot of people own maybe, let's say, a Newcastle mid or a Crystal Palace mid. If you own a Crystal Palace mid, maybe you don't feel like this is the week to do it. And then if you own a Newcastle mid, you actually have Everton at home anyways on Gameweek 38. So is there a need to make that move? And then actually their defense has looked stellar as of late, Aston Villa. Underlines look really, really clean. I can't say anything. They've just been really impressive at the back.
Yeah. I've been very anti Aston Villa defense for the whole season, really. But you're right. I picked up Dean recently. Unfortunate to have missed out on a couple of clean sheets, but the clean sheets have been there for Aston Villa. The clean sheets have been there, particularly for Martinez. He's been absolutely killing it. Other teams who play United and Spurs, Brighton played them in 38. Danny Welbeck, any interest?
If you need a forward move, yeah, why not? But he's not going to be on penalties, right, on Gameweek 38, so that kind of dampens his appeal a bit. And then, is there still a better game on offer? Like, why not still target an Ipswich, a Southampton, a Leicester?
Okay, I think the final one that I want to talk about is Chelsea, who have arguably 2 good fixtures coming up. They've got United, who suck, and they've got Forest, who kind of fell off it a little bit.
Have always sucked, or overperforming.
Oh, are you anti-Forest? You're anti-Forest. That's quite funny. Dan loves Forest.
Look, I'm pro data. They've been I think they've overperformed this season, but I mean that's a credit to their players and their staff. But I just think all season long they've been I'd say middling defense, and their offense is honestly like a bottom 5 offense, but they've just gotten goals from every inch and corner from different players who've just stepped up at different moments. So I feel like I would say that the lack of form as of late is just almost like a reflection of just their general level over the course of the season. Like they probably should be a little bit lower in the league table, but if they can actually get top 5, then good luck to them. But that result versus Leicester was very tough. Yeah,
it's unfortunate. It was unfortunate. I think it's to concede that second goal. That's just
it's a bit unacceptable. It's like Brighton when I owned some Brighton defenders and conceded 2 goals to Leicester, and I was like, are these good defenders?
Like at what point? Who do you blame? Is it like Leicester suddenly become great at attack? Chelsea are an interesting one, and I think I think Palmer's starting to come into people's thinking.
That Liverpool game was great.
It was.
Just visually, yeah.
It
was good.
It was. He had a really great performance. And Gary Neville absolutely started eating him up. But
yeah, I think Gary Neville was getting gassed about his his pre-assist, which was just laying it onto a winger. Like no one's ever done that before. But it's like when you do that early and then he does the thing where he goes, tries to like cheat Alisson behind. It's like, you've got to kind of contextualize your hype because you're kind of ruined a later subsequent great moment.
Listen, not like Gary Neville to overreact, is it? But I think Palmer's an interesting one, and we'll probably talk about him a little bit more because you're interested in him.
I own him.
You own him. You're interested in him more than just owning him.
Yeah, we'll talk about that later.
Pause. But but I think outside of that, there's not too many other teams that we can think about. Let's talk about this. So captaincy, I think arguably this is one of the hardest weeks for captaincy that we've seen in a very long time. There's no outstanding captain. Salah's been absolutely ass
Yeah,
for a very long time. Erling Haaland's just back fit, but he weren't great.
he jogged for 90
Yeah.
minutes.
He weren't great when he was fit, to be honest. I don't know why people steamed into him. And I say people, I did. But he sucked when he was fit, so I don't know. I don't know what's happened there. But then after that, you got Saka against Newcastle, doesn't feel great.
Nah.
De Bruyne doesn't feel great. Palmer against United.
Feels great.
Listen, I know you love it. But to me, that just doesn't feel great. And then you got Watkins against Spurs, which for me, even though it's right at the bottom there, is arguably the best captain.
Interesting.
What's your thinking here?
Well, I'm Palmer captaining 100%.
Why?
Penalties, midfielder, 90 minutes, United bad, United leggy.
You can say the same about Brighton and Salah. Penalties, midfielder.
Brighton leggy.
Brighton are just always leggy.
Brighton just come off of
They conceded
take away
2-2.
my Ryan Nuri clean sheet
Yeah.
twice over.
They conceded 2 to Leicester.
Yeah, Salah who? No, I think I tend to think I like always backing a home game.
Mm-hmm.
I think we've talked about the legginess aspect of things. And Liverpool just, to be honest, they actually put a pretty full strength team versus Arsenal, but they're just at a stage of the season where they don't really care. And I suppose Chelsea have a reason to care. So I kind of look at it from that direction. They probably, from the teams that care, have the best fixture that isn't Watkins, and Watkins is a forward, and he might be a close captaincy option. I'm probably actually looking at bringing Watkins in, but I think I'll still go Palmer.
I would still be concerned by his form. His form isn't great. He hasn't scored open play, I think, this calendar year.
Yeah, he might have scored in January, but
so it is still concerning. I know United aren't great, but you know what United are like for these big games.
Yeah, that's true. But I think Chelsea, for the most part, have always played against United very well. Whenever United are in these big games, I feel like they can match the level of scoring as opposed to completely keep a team out. I remember even the last time around, Sanchez sort of kept United in that game with the really weird penalty on Højlund.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just tend to think penalties is always nice, minutes are always nice, and he's got all the guarantees there without having an awful fixture, which I think everyone else really just does have.
Yeah. That's fair enough.
Bar Watkins, yeah. Are you going Watkins?
I have Watkins.
Yeah.
And
As in captaincy?
I'm strongly considering it. The thing is, I own Haaland, De Bruyne, and Watkins. And something kind of tells me, just trust Haaland one more week. But Watkins is going to score.
I feel like
he's going to score. I'm pretty sure of that. So I feel like the floor is better with Watkins. But it's one to think about, which we'll chat a little bit more about when we're talking about our teams. Saka. Is he someone that you'd prioritize to buy in? Because a lot of people got rid of him.
This week?
Yeah.
No chance. 38 though. I'll be there.
Losing Palmer?
Yeah. Because Palmer's against Liverpool.
I reckon Palmer scores more points against Liverpool, Wait,
no, he's not against Liverpool. Sorry. Who's the Newcastle? He's against Newcastle.
Chelsea are playing Newcastle. You're right. No, Forest.
Oh my, yeah, stinker. But
You can't sell Palmer against Forest.
it's away though. Southampton away, I'll trade that.
Southampton at home for Arsenal, is it not? Oh, have I lost it? Where's Arsenal?
Southampton away, right?
Southampton away, yeah. I don't know. I think I think Saka's an interesting one, and I think Arsenal in general are an interesting one. Like that performance in the second half that they put in against Liverpool.
Yeah,
that was great. That was some great football. Martinelli looked crazy. Trossard has looked really good for a long time. That people just don't want to go there.
I owned Trossard for a large part of when Saka was out, and he got nothing. An assist for West Ham actually for around 8 weeks of football. But yeah, I mean he's actually a very good player, which is why I bought him in the first place. But yeah, like Arsenal's offense do look good at bits. Like even versus PSG, a lot of it's not even necessarily open play. It's like the overwhelming pressure, rinsing set pieces, long throw-ins, and then knock-ons and things like that. But in open play, Saka always has
proper top tier
central piece, and it's just Southampton. And
yeah,
I do also like the recent kind of trend that Arteta's done, which is to play Saka a little bit more inside in various points of the game. And I'd hope in a game versus Southampton, maybe he can do something like that, allow Saka to play a little bit more offensively.
Yeah, fair enough. I think to have him in the captaincy debate for this week is probably unreasonable. But people are going to go there, and I think it's not an awful thing to do. It's probably going to be an exciting, high-octane game. I can imagine goals in that. So I don't think it's crazy to buy. I probably would say it's crazy to captain.
Yeah, I think I'm agreeing with you. I guess who are you selling this week to get to Saka? He's quite an expensive player still.
Yeah, it's not like he can sell Palmer, is it? It's not like he can sell De Bruyne. Although De Bruyne with Haaland, probably isn't as talismanic as we normally want him to be. No, let's not start entertaining De Bruyne out. Actually, no. Let's move on. Let's move on to differential of the week. Differential of the week, we had an absolute stormer, and I was fuming when I realized that Dan picked Ruben, because I thought that's it. Like I've closed the gap. I thought he had like a 2-pointer, and then I realized that Ruben somehow came away with like 3 bonus points. So Sharda smashed it, 11-pointer, 1 goal, only goal in that Brentford game, and Ruben picked up 9 points. Did you have a differential of the week last week?
Yeah, I think I put Nico Williams in there, but I thought Sharda was he actually within the rules?
Yeah, within the rules. He was like 0.9%.
Oh, fair. Yeah.
Or
maybe you had him, so I couldn't pick him. But I was trying to get to Sharda first, and I think Gibbs White, then Nico Williams. But Gibbs White was over the cap, I think.
Yeah. Nico Williams, what, 1-pointer?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, that's brutal, man. You're not built for this, man. Differential of the week is a
small sample size.
Did he tell you? I was like 60 points behind.
Yeah, no, he did.
And then somehow, I'm 11 points behind now. 2 game weeks. I don't think I could do it. If I don't do it this week, I don't think it's going to happen. All right, let's start off with Dan's. So Dan's gone for Neto, which is interesting. And I think the only reason he's gone for him is because we've picked the best 2 options. What do you think of Neto?
I think he plays football for Chelsea. Yeah, I don't know. Like, if I was actually to pick Chelsea player, I might actually pick Madueke, even though he plays less minutes. I just think he's more likely to do something.
Yeah.
But Neto has played a fair bit of football for Chelsea this season. And actually, Jackson's out, right? So maybe you can actually have Neto back in the center forward position. He's actually a good pick for this week.
What about Nkunku? Is he fit?
It doesn't matter whether he's fit or not.
we don't talk about Nkunku. Okay. I think Neto's actually interesting. Man.
Yeah, now that I'm thinking about it, with Jackson out, I think it makes sense. He'll be back at center forwards. Yeah. He'll be there and thereabouts.
Yeah, Dan's playing 5D chess. I think it's an interesting option. And you know what? We probably haven't given him enough conversation, given that you just pointed out there's a reasonable chance he plays up front. If someone's really chasing 300k, 400k.
I like it.
Yeah. You like it?
Yeah.
Captain?
No.
Too far.
Palmer's right there.
Too far. Palmer's right there.
Palmer's ownership is very low, you know.
What's it at right now?
I think it's like 3 to 6%, something like that.
Is Palmer under 5% EO? I'm gonna change my differential of the week. If
Nah,
Palmer's
not
under
like
5%
in
EO.
the. I think I'm talking ranked tiers.
You're talking actual.
Yeah.
I got you. Because if Palmer's under 34%, 34%. So a lot of dead teams with Palmer still in the team,
including mine.
Oh, I love that. But yeah, no, Neto's an interesting one, and he's gone for a midfielder, so he's bound to do something up against United at home. I don't hate it. I think it's quite good.
Yeah,
I think it's quite good. Who have you gone for?
Oh, Jamie Vardy. I mean, we talked about it at the start, right? Do we still target these teams? He just has an exquisite game. He's at home on pens. What's not to like?
It's his last home game of the season, isn't it?
Yeah.
Last home game
He's already
ever.
written his apology letter. Can't write another one. So hopefully he does something.
You know what? When teams get like relegated, it's decided.
Yeah.
It's so funny to watch them play. Like they're fighting for nothing.
Did you see Southampton play versus Man City?
No. They were fighting to not be Derby.
That's true, yeah.
Yeah. But these guys, like, they don't care. You can tell it on their faces. Like, they're smiling. They're just enjoying the last few weeks of being paid stupid money until they go down to the championship and they all get pay cuts. But I love the Vardy pick. I'll be very honest with you. I love the Vardy pick. And you know what? I would buy him. I would genuinely consider buying him, like, for my normal team. I really would. I think it's brilliant. But 4.8%, that's dodgy. Just saying. 4.8% is dodgy. We had an incident at the start of the season.
Mm-hmm.
It was very bad. It was very bad. It wasn't taken well by me. It wasn't taken well by the audience. It wasn't taken well by anybody.
All right.
Dan picked a differential of the week, and it was Embuemo. His differential.
When was Embuemo less than 5% owned?
That's what
because Gameweek 1.
Gameweek 1.
Right, okay.
No, not Gameweek 1. Gameweek 1 and 2, Embuemo had really bad fixtures, if you remember.
Yeah.
He then played Southampton in Gameweek 3.
Fair play.
And Dan picked him for that. And he got like 20 points.
Right, that's just skill.
Oh, fuming. He was 4.9% odd. My problem was, it wasn't even the number. My whole point was, it's against the spirit of differential of the week to pick Embuemo.
Rules are rules, right? Who do you have?
That's unfortunate. I've gone for Beto, 3.4% owned. Everton and Beto just kind of look like they're just on it a little bit. I don't know what it is.
What was it? Because they just beat Fulham 3-1?
Yeah, they just look on it right now, though. And like Beto looks good occasionally. His neck looks very long here.
Yeah, it is actually that long.
Is it actually that long?
Yeah, it is that long.
Well, damn. But yeah, I think this is a reasonable option. What do you think?
I mean, Southampton at home. I'm actually trying to think about why I don't own him. But I guess he's not on penalties, right? Because NDI is still playing.
Wait, is it didn't die fit?
He's been on the pitch, but he's been subbed a little bit earlier in games, I think.
Yeah.
Maybe he didn't even play last match, but Beto looked pretty good last game, I have to be honest.
Yeah. I think it's a reasonable shout. And I think Beto up against Neto, so long as Chelsea doesn't batter United, I think we're in for closing the gap a little bit. If I can get this gap down to 5 or 4 points for Gameweek 38, we are in for a cracker. Absolute cracker. I'm going to go for Martinelli. Hopefully he's under 5%, but I doubt it. Taking a quick look at your team, Red Arrow this week.
Oh, yeah.
Despite the boring Embuemo captain. Eze saving your week, man.
Yeah, pretty much. I think so. So a week ago, I actually sold, or I bought Jake O'Brien. And what's happened is I sold Estupinian, who I would have played this week. And I'm thinking about it now. Jake O'Brien might actually miss next week. And it's not looking good. But otherwise, I think it's one of those cases where most of the picks I really like had a good game. Most of my defenders had a home game. We're playing Tottenham. Wisa, I probably could have chosen Wood. I think I was discussing this with Dan last week. I think he was maybe a little higher on Cunha. I was high on Wood, and somehow by the end of the week, I was pretty high on Wisa. But I think part of it too is just looking at how some of the markets have sort of reacted to Forrest's poor form, and then just thinking I'd back Wisa over the 3 games, and hopefully that works out. So I made that move from our moves from the deadline. And otherwise, it was just a poor week.
Were you not tempted by the Haaland play?
No, I only had one free transfer, not at all. Yeah.
You only had one free transfer?
Yeah.
Okay.
Once again, thanks to Jake O'Brien, yeah. Shout out. Who was out of the squad as well.
I know. What happened to him?
Well, I mean, Andy Martin says his partner might be nearing childbirth, but I don't know. He has an injury. I think Moyes confirmed that it was like a Friday decision.
How does Andy Martin know when everyone's pregnant is the real question.
Yeah, that's a good question.
It's a very important question. But you did get a goalkeeper clean sheet. There's not many of those flying around this week.
Got one on my bench as well. You got it wrong.
Both clean sheets. We lost 1 point there. Very, very bad decision.
Yeah, part of it's because I wanted to play Palmer, right? So I kind of wanted to have the most wide range of outcomes with whatever team I put out. And then obviously Jackson gets a red card like nice and early so I can go to bed.
Yeah. I mean, I was kind of surprised that Newcastle didn't really put them to the sword. Right?
Yeah.
I was expecting Isak to get some goals.
Yeah, they didn't actually create that many chances.
Yeah. So I was like a little bit panicky when that red card came up. So I'm glad Isak blanked. Isak's kind of not been doing the best for a while now.
Him and Salah they've gone missing in action.
Yeah. This is a common thing as well. Like Haaland does it every season where he smashes it and then last 10 game weeks is like, do I really want to break records this badly?
Just his first season.
Yeah. But otherwise, I think it's tough with Aït-Nouri, right? He only conceded. No, he didn't just concede.
He conceded two.
He conceded two. Nico Williams obviously conceding that second right at the end. Vissa, I think, definitely was a great shout, right? But unfortunately, that would outscored him. How are you lining up for next game week? What's your plans?
I'll probably line up exactly as this suggests. Might have to make a decision with Nico Williams and Aït-Nouri. I think that is a general 50-50. Otherwise, I think this team can just be played like this. But I am considering just Isak to Watkins.
And what's the thinking there? Where are you leaning?
I guess Isak's ownership is very high. I probably have to make some decisions that hopefully game me rank. And I'll probably keep Salah just to captain him on 38. And in this case, Isak.
Wait, you're gonna buy Saka, but you're gonna captain Salah?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And that's it really. I mean, I think Evan Nilsson, I kind of have to keep him because he's got Leicester at home next. Same with Kluivert, even though he doesn't even start football games. But Alex Scott had a bit of a stinker and was hooked. And so hopefully Kluivert should be back for the next 2 games. I'm hoping O'Brien's fit. That's it really. I guess my thoughts were I go out of Isak now or I don't because Everton at home is around the corner and that's actually a good game. Or I save 2 free transfers in that situation and just go Saka and Semenyo. Because I probably could actually bin off Eze, who's against Liverpool, and then bin off Palmer to get Saka as well, and then call it a day.
Yeah, that's fair enough. I think.
What do you think?
I think the Watkins move looks very on.
Yeah,
I think the Watkins move looks very on. I would argue that captaining Salah in Gameweek 38 is unoptimal, suboptimal. They call it in the model world.
Why is that?
Saka's right there.
For Southampton.
It's 1 game week, and you're ranked in a place that you're unhappy.
That's true. I'll give it a bit more thought for sure.
Like, what's the point? Like to go against Salah when he's playing against Leicester and not go against him in Game Week 38 when he's doing absolutely dog shit is probably.
That's the genius of it, right?
Yeah.
Salah's low.
You're thinking so far. They got the other side. Fair enough.
I know he's going to play bad this week, so no one will captain him on 38.
Fair enough. I think your team's quite interesting. Like it feels very non-data. Like it feels very non-template, I should say.
Yeah.
How's your team kind of landed here? Have you been like
I did
a bit more
3 hit
punty
30.
recently?
No, I did 3 at 33, and that kind of meant I didn't own any Aston Villa players, which is super unfortunate because obviously they've gone on an absolute tear. Part of it too is I think by not bench boosting on 32, by not bench boosting on 33, and I bench boosted on 32. That was part of the reason why I didn't own someone like maybe a Murphy. So instead, I ended up on like a variant where I owned Pope as my goalkeeper. And a lot of people, I think, instead might have, let's say, another outfield player with Newcastle and not have Pope, right? So that was part of it too. Evan Nilsson, I bought him on game week 34 because I was kind of looking at the fixtures remaining for the rest of the season with a small sliver of a double. So I bought Evan Nilsson. I've always owned Kluivert from my initial wild card, but he was fatigued and suddenly didn't appear in football matches for 3 matches in a row. Those are the kind of decisions, right? So it's like
crazy fatigue.
Yeah. 3 at 33, I think has pretty much destroyed my season because obviously 34 is amazing. Everyone knows that. And then just little things like, I would have owned actually, let's say some Aston Villa players for sure, because I would have bought into them, for hits on 33, that kind of thing. So it's been all pretty poor. And I even actually went KDB on 3 at 33 where he did nothing, played 180 minutes football. Then he goes on next week and just gets 11 points. So little things like that. But I think the team's strong, right? But it's just a lot of the players aren't highly owned. It's just that sadly they also don't get points.
It's unfortunate. And you know what? I think you're knocking yourself. Like you're 170k. That's not like awful considering how badly things have gone wrong over the last 6 weeks.
Yeah, that's fair.
Like, what have you dropped?
I feel like I'm Cole Palmer. Like, I honestly haven't had a single good game week in 2025. So,
Fair enough.
Because I had a much better rank, I think, in the middle part of the season, and then there's a lot of the Salah captaincy swings around that sort of initial AM window. I made a move which was like Bruno to Trossard. Bruno then gets like 5 double-digit point weeks in a row, even versus Arsenal, things like that. And Trossard's, he's just there.
Yeah.
Such is the way.
But at least Eze's gone really well for you.
That's true. Yeah.
He's been smashing it for a while now.
And I'm happy that I guess they're actually generally sharing pens once again. But, fortunate to own Eze, to be honest, because I did sell Sar recently and he's been super lively. So like Sar has some of the best open play numbers. But
don't tell me that. Yeah. I picked Sar over Eze. Do you enjoy chess?
Yeah.
Do you know Eze?
Yeah, watch the live.
Damn.
Watch the win pog champs.
Damn, yeah. Like when I saw that, I was like, I don't know what the hell is going on. what like my two worlds are colliding.
I was watching this. It was like 10-21, I think, when he won, and he was like, "Yeah, I've got to go to bed, guys." But yeah,
he played a game against or 2 games against what's his name, Levy, Gotham Chess, as well, which is a good watch. If you haven't seen it, go check it out. Let's take a quick gander at my team. I am up to 259k. Things were looking very good on Saturday. I had a brilliant Saturday. Sharda, Dean, Rogers, and not Embuemo actually. Watkins really did some serious points for me. Munoz smashed it. But then Martinelli scores on the bench. All my bad EO picks done well. Bowen, who else did well? Diaz. I feel like everyone, Eze really hurt me. I feel like there's quite a few of those who just like, if they stayed calm, I would have been in top 200k right now.
Yeah.
But alas, I'm still happy with the green arrow. We're up almost 40k in rank. I'm hopeful that I can get into the top 200k. My goal when I was I think 1.4 million in like Gameweek 18 or something stupid like that. I was hopeful to get into the top 250k. If we do that, I would call this second half of the season a success. And you know what? I actually what I haven't done is checked my second half of the season rank. I wonder if that's good. Yeah, 100k, and it's in top 100k in the second half of the season. But alas, I think it's been a reasonable game week. I can't say that I feel bad about going and captaining Haaland. The plan was to captain De Bruyne anyway.
Did that get you shot in?
Yes, it did. So I did 3 transfers, took a 4-point hit. So I brought in Embuemo, Haaland, and Sharda because I was 0.2 away from just Embuemo and Haaland.
Ooh, okay.
So I got rid of Salah and...
Fair play.
Oh, who's my forward that I got rid of? Mamush.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I got rid of Ismail Assar as well, who also scored, which was very, very annoying. But Sharda's 11 points really went a long way. Outside of that, I think it's fine. Glad to see that Digne scored. Martinelli has been a player who I've been very happy to own, by the way. He did well in the double game week, if I'm not mistaken, or was it the blank? I think it was the double game.
Okay, yeah.
He scored a goal. No, him and Trossard did.
Trossard did it.
Yeah, they
Crazy
both got
stuff.
double-digit returns. So like it wasn't brilliant, but it was over 10 points. So we'll take it. Game week 37. This is how I'm sort of set to line up. Rodgers is definitely going to start. This is currently benching him just because of the algorithm. But Raya, Munoz, Gvardiol, Timber's probably not going to be in my lineup. But I've got Dean and Livramento to pick from, so it's kind of worst of worst
Dean's
worlds.
nice, right?
I see Spurs scoring though. But he's more likely to
Newcastle not?
He's more likely. I think I'm more likely to start Dean than Timber, but
Yeah.
I wouldn't be if I didn't have Raya, I would start Timber
Okay, that makes sense.
because I think Arsenal are more likely to not concede to Newcastle than Villa are to not concede to Spurs, if that makes sense. In terms of who I'm going to bench for Rodgers, though, that's the complicated question because despite Mateta being ass,
it's Mateta.
It's still Mateta. He can pop off. So the one rule that I follow in FPL is I never bench Rodgers, and I've never been let down.
Fair play.
Yeah. So Rodgers is definitely going to make his way into this. It might even have to be Sharded that gets benched, to be honest.
Just sit Mateta down, man. Please.
Send Mateta down?
Yeah.
He's probably going to get benched as well anyway, isn't he?
I just feel like his minutes are so reduced. He must start in the FA Cup final and then just let Enkedia play a game, I think.
No, I think that makes complete sense. So Rodgers and Dean to come in for Timber and Mateta in this lineup. Captaincy is where I'm absolutely screwed because I haven't got a clue. My options are Haaland and Watkins, realistically. I don't hate Embuemo against Fulham. Everton just popped 3 past him. Embuemo definitely could. Had 2 big penalty calls. Could have been a City score in Game Week 36. Fortunately for me, it wasn't. So Watkins feels fun. I think
I'd go Watkins in that team,
Yeah.
It's like, once again with Haaland, most of those picks are going to be less than 100% effective ownership anyway. So you feel like you're winning if they do well. But Watkins does feel like that is the best game. Just right there. So like if I can give some credit to Bournemouth, I think they've been a pretty competent team. Like they lose, but they don't lose hard. They lose 0-1. They draw games they shouldn't, things like that. Yeah, I'd probably go Watkins.
Yeah. Right. That's all we have time for today. Fran, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
It's been 2 weeks. What's your feelings? How's Stick to FPL treated you?
Yeah, I'll miss it when I go. But no, I mean, I've really enjoyed the show. It's nice to be in studio podcasts. There's nothing else like it in the space. And so, yeah, I'm happy that you guys have been able to get out a full season of content and looking forward to more.
Thank you very much. And if you guys, I don't have a button here, unfortunately, because producers. But if you guys want to check out Fran, he's on YouTube, he's on the TikTok, he's on everything. Twitter, FPL Fran. He does great content. He looks at models and he shows those models to you. So if that's what you're into, do check him out. But other than that, make sure you follow, subscribe, like, do all the nice stuff on the platforms. We are almost done. And there's not too long left, but we'll be back, hopefully, next season and ready for some crazy, crazy stuff. Next year, I reckon I can win.
FPL?
My mini league. My work mini league. I'm losing my work mini league.
Oh, man, I don't even want to look at my work mini league.
I'm second in my work mini league. Oh, my God, they are
I won it last year, so I feel like I've got a little bit of breathing room. But no, I'm going to have to step it up.
Normally, I've got like work mini league, friend mini leagues like on a choggle.
Yeah.
It's like 100 points clear. By Game Week 32.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I've been chasing this one guy down. I think he's like 10 points ahead of me right now. To be fair, it might actually be more because he has Eze. So I'm hopeful, but I don't think that's gonna happen. But anyway, thank you guys for watching and catch you next week.